Today, I want to talk about this. This was a clip from AEW Dynamite earlier this week when MJF took on Brody King. And I just want to say, WWE would never. WWE just wouldn't let this on TV. They'd probably mask it with fake crowd noise or maybe even just mute it completely because it doesn't align with what WWE is about. And that makes it more of a reason for me to start watching AEW. I don't really watch AEW. I have seen little bits and pieces here and there online. I know all about Brody King. I know what the guy stands for. I know that the guy comes out to the ring with Abolish ICE t-shirts. Pretty great. All about that. But, AEW is just not as easily accessible to me. I don't have cable, so I can't watch it on TNT or whatever network it's on. I don't have HBO, so I can't watch it on HBO. WWE is just the more accessible brand for me because I have Netflix and I have a VPN, so I can watch Netflix. I can watch WWE programming on Netflix pretty much for a subscription I already paid for. But after seeing this clip, after seeing it go around, after seeing MJF's interview after this clip came out, where he talks about their fans having a voice and this segment being on TV and no one batting an eye to the fact that it was being aired on TV and everyone being okay with it, I'm all in. I'm all in on AEW, and I will be finding some sort of way to watch AEW, whether that be buying a HBO subscription or whatever it may be. I will be watching AEW more so going forward. I think the most interesting thing about this whole thing is that this clip, this match, this segment happened on the same week that Ava, The Rock's daughter, she left WWE and then went on Twitter and said, now that I can say this, let me say this with my full chest, F ICE. She said the same thing that the people were chanting in this crowd. But she said that in a tweet, also pointing out the fact that she couldn't say that before, right? My assumption is because she worked for WWE. We all know what WWE stands for. We all know who owns WWE. We all know the McMahon's association with the current administration. We know who the Secretary of Education is. We know what Triple H is doing as part of the current administration. We know that Dana White is an owner of TKO. We know where he stands as well. So everything is just very telling as to what WWE stands for, as to how WWE is stopping their wrestlers from saying anything would probably prevent the crowds from. Can you imagine this happening on Monday Night Raw or Friday Night SmackDown? Could you imagine what WWE would lose their minds? And that's not to say that like the cons are good billionaires, because there's no such thing as good billionaires, but it is it's a breath of fresh air, right? That a wrestling organization would let its crowd chant these kind of things. They wouldn't mask it with fake crowd noise. They wouldn't try to stop it. They wouldn't try to hide it. As far as I know, there hasn't been any sort of statement from AEW being like, oh, we apologize for what our crowd was saying, because they're letting the crowd speak what they believe. And that is very refreshing coming from a wrestling organization. What I have seen people say, and this is mostly from comment sections, is let's keep politics out of wrestling, right? Let's keep politics out of wrestling. Wrestling has no place for politics. If wrestling has no place for politics, let's tell WWE that, because WWE is all over politics, right? There's a reason they go to Saudi Arabia multiple times a year to be part of that whole propaganda machine, right? There's a reason why the current president is in the WWE Hall of Fame. There's a reason why there's multiple pictures of the McMahon family in the Oval Office. There's a reason Vince McMahon and the current president are buddies. There's a reason Triple H is working in this organization or in this administration. There's a reason Linda McMahon is the Secretary of Education, right? So yeah, no, don't give me that crap of like, oh, wrestling shouldn't be involved with politics. Politics shouldn't be in wrestling. They have no place in wrestling. As far as I'm concerned, WWE has been doing politics for as long as I can remember. I remember even not even a partisan politics. I remember that during the 2008 election, We had promos from John McCain. We had promos from Hillary Clinton. We had promos from Barack Obama. We had video packages play on Monday Night Raw. So it's not like WWE hasn't always had a hand in politics. That's a thing that they've always done. But all of a sudden, when they are part of an administration, they kind of haven't mentioned it. We have Bad Bunny performing at the Super Bowl this weekend, right? The right, MAGA, is upset about Bad Bunny being on the Super Bowl. Ooh, we don't like Bad Bunny in the Super Bowl. Bad Bunny is a WWE superstar as far as WWE has mentioned. And I don't know. They haven't been promoting the fact that he is performing in the Super Bowl, right? Could it be because their base is upset about this? Could it be because his buddy's upset that Bad Bunny's performing? I don't know. It's just interesting to me. And all of this isn't to say that I'm going to stop watching WWE or anything, right? I still do enjoy the storylines that WWE puts together for the most part. I do enjoy a lot of the characters that are on WWE. I enjoy the wrestlers and the work that they put into these matches in WWE. I do enjoy this. It is a part of my childhood. 100%, right? I'm definitely watching this. But like I mentioned in my SmackDown review video, there's something to say about one of the big heels to laugh at on SmackDown right now is a guy who calls himself a feminist, who calls out toxic masculinity, and who appears maybe less manly than WWE likes to push, right? And I get it. He is supposed to be a comedy character. He is supposed to be a comedy heel. Like, that is his role. But we can't be blinded to what they think is funny, what they think is something worth laughing at, right? Let's shoot it straight. It is their idea of a liberal male. It is honestly, like I've said, someone who they see as less manly than their idea of what a male should be, of what an alpha male should be, right? It's the weak liberal mindset that the right likes to push, and WWE is doing this. Let's not pretend that WWE isn't a propaganda machine for all of this. Also, I'm sure people have noticed, right? But has there been any mention of February being Black History Month? No, there wasn't any mention last year either. Was there any mention last year of it being Hispanic Heritage Month? Nope, no mention of that either, right? So these are all things that WWE used to do before. These are all things that WWE used to mention before. They used to post on their social media for, Heritage Months, for History Months, all of the wrestlers in their company, for like Black History Month, they would post, about all of their black wrestlers on Instagram. But none of that, since this new administration doesn't seem to care about those types of things, since it's not aligned with their base, since it's not aligned with the propaganda that they're spewing, they're just not going to post about that. But again, this is all to say that I'm not going to stop watching. It just makes it harder to watch. And I watch because I love wrestling. I watch because I love the characters that exist in wrestling. I watch because I enjoy watching CM Punk wrestle, because I enjoy watching Chelsea Green wrestle, because I enjoy watching Oba Femi on my TV, because I enjoy watching The New Day, because I enjoy the Usos, because I enjoy Roman Reigns. Right? This is why I watch. So anyway, there you have it. This video is a little bit different. It was just a rant that I felt like I needed to get out. We'll be back to regular wrestling content soon. Our next video will definitely be something else. We'll probably talk about, I don't know, who will be in the chamber. But I just felt like this needed to be said, because even as I see other wrestling content creators, and look, I know how many subscribers I had. I know how many subscribers I have. I know where I am on the ladder of things, but I feel like everyone just kind of glossed over this, including like the What Culture guys and Santi, right? Like, they kind of just glossed over this whole thing, didn't really talk about it, didn't even mention it in some cases, but it was cool. It was cool to see a wrestling organization let their fans have a voice, just like MJF said. It was cool to see a wrestling organization let people speak their minds, let wrestlers do what they do. Obviously, right? Like, again, not being super familiar with AEW, I've seen the Brody King stuff. I've seen Brody King coming out with the Abolish Ice t-shirts. I've seen how much money Brody King has has raised for some of those families, and I think that's pretty great. So I think I found my new favorite wrestler, Brody King. Also, the dude's an absolute monster. Also, like things like this, right? Like it's gotten so many eyeballs on the product that wouldn't have been there before, right? Yes, I know that AEW exists, right? I know that it's there. I've seen bits and pieces here and there, but if it weren't for situations like this, I probably wouldn't have thought anything but by it. I would just continue to watch my WWE product like I've always done. And by doing this, right, it's sure it's polarized fans, whatever, who cares? But it's gotten eyeballs on the product. There are people talking about wrestling that have never talked about wrestling. And that's pretty cool because wrestling is pretty cool. And AEW is doing a lot for wrestling by letting people do what they want to do. So, anyway, since you made it this far, make sure to drop a like, subscribe if you want. You probably don't after that rant, and that's perfectly fine too. But as always, look, even the way I close the show, right? Mick Foley, or the way I close my videos, Mick Foley, it's after Mick Foley. Mick Foley cut ties with WWE because he didn't like the icky feeling of being associated with that kind of an organization. And good for Mick Foley for taking a stand. But anyway, though, as always, until next time, have a nice day.